Hey there, Wendy here with Jazzydoodledesigns, and today I'm going to talk about the pictures that I colored for the month of June. And so first up is Millie Murata's Island Escape. So this is my first picture in this book, and I was really pleased with how it turned out. I used a combination of Distress ink for the background, and then I used Prismacolor colored pencils for the bird and nest. And I really like how it turned out. There is a color along on my channel, so if you're interested in that, feel free to follow along with me. I am really loving this color here is called Lost Shadow, and then it's edged with a little bit of weathered wood. And these are actually distressed oxides. I don't know if I said that. I may have said distress ink, but these are oxides. I really like working with the oxides. I love the more chalky feel that they have. I just think that can really highlight an image like this. And I did a little splatter in the back because they are water reactive. So feel free to follow along with me on this. This is my first one in her books, but it won't be my last. Next up is this book. And if you're familiar with my channel at all, you'll know that I really enjoy working in this book. I find it to be a nice challenge to try and match the colors as opposed to what we do on a regular basis where we're trying to come up with our own color, combinations for a page. So first up is this page. I used Avazar London pencils and a white Posca pen, and this one had a lot of detail in it, and it was really kind of hard to get the really dark darks and some of the values. If you look, this page just looks lighter in general. One of the things that I've started doing to avoid that is I'm spraying it with a workable fixative before I even start. And on the next one, I'm going to try spraying it again, like at this point, and then continuing to work on it. So I may come back to this page and just see if I can deepen some of these values and kind of add a little more contrast to the page. But overall, I'm really happy with it. I'm happy with how all of these pictures really came out. They can be very challenging because the pictures are oftentimes done from something like an oil painting or a different medium that can give you some texture and richness that's hard to duplicate with a colored pencil. So this one I did with Cezanne colored pencils, and Cezanne is a brand. It's the name brand of Jerry's Art-A-Rama, and I like these pencils a lot. I felt like they did a really good job layering. Overall, I'm happy with this. I found this page to be really challenging. For me, it's hard when there's black lines here to white them out and have them look good, like rays of the sun coming down. But I did use Posca white pen and a yellow pen to do the highlights of color and just kind of add a little bit of contrast. Looking at this now, I realize I never went back in with sometimes I go in with a black fine marker and hit the eyes and kind of give them a little more definition. So I'll make a note to myself to do that. But that was one that I did. This is the latest one I did. This was Dick Blick colored pencils. Now, we just went on vacation, and to reward myself for the challenge of driving through Nebraska, we stopped in Omaha, and they have a Dick Blick there, and that's actually the closest one to my house. I wish they would put one in Denver, but they don't have one, so I was able to stop there and spend a little bit of time, and it was really nice because they do have pencils on display so you can try them. And I tried their name brand, and I was actually really pleased with the results. And as you can see, I think they layer up really nicely on these areas where I really wanted the high pigmented color, right? Now in this area, this page was quite the challenge because it had all this foggy, misty quality to it. So it was very hard to figure out how to really depict that on this page using colored pencils. So I did use a white paint pen to kind of, put on and then kind of smear around to kind of create a little bit of a hazy glow. So let me know what you think. Was I successful? But overall, I enjoyed working with them, and I think it turned out pretty good. Now, you can always improve. I could go back in with a blender pencil or a blender pen and, try and get out some of the white and, like here on the shingles. But I kind of like that it adds a little bit more texture. The next one is this page. It was done with Pablo pencils, and I think they performed very well. I like how this page turned out. Luminaire, I think his name is. But this was just a fun and easy page comparatively to some of the others. The last one I did, I used ChromaFlow pencils on this one. And once again, it was kind of challenging too. This was all supposed to be kind of, the hazy, misty morning kind of look. And that was a little harder to depict. I was a little disappointed in the black of the page, and this one might be one that I choose to spray again with fixative and see if I can go in and add some deeper value to this tree especially, and really bring in the darks that I'm kind of lacking when you look at the page as a whole. Same within the tail here. This is, not nearly as dark. So I may still play around with this. But overall, I enjoy working in this book. I know a lot of people don't. Next up is Benny Blue, and this is by Christine Karen. I love me some Benny Blue. Now this one I did with the Dick Blick pencils, and I was really pleased with how they worked on this paper. I think he's just so stinking cute. And I debated for quite a while because I almost always put backgrounds on my pages. But this one, I just couldn't come up with a background in my head that I wanted. So he doesn't have a background. And that's okay too. Not every page has to have a background. So he may never have a background, or one day I might just get an urge to quote finish it off and maybe add a little bit of a background here. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to call it done. Next up is Main Street. This is by Creative Haven and Teresa Goodrich. Love her stuff. I've done 2 in this book. Sorry, I didn't mark them. So the first one is this page. And I like how this page turned out. I really like how the brick turned out and the richness of it. I think the sunset is a nice little touch. The next page I did was this page, and I used the black edition pencils. And I've had really mixed feelings about these pencils ever since I got them. To me, they just aren't quite as pigmented as other pencils, and I don't find that they layer as nicely. So I will say this, the first lay down of color is nice, but then if you add another layer to it, I don't feel like it really makes much of a difference. This is a nice page. I'm not unhappy with the page, but to me, I just prefer a little more vibrancy. And to me, these pencils just lack that a little bit. I know I'm gonna get some haters in the comments because these are pencils that I frequently see people say, oh, I love them. I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to say these are bad pencils by any means. I feel like with my style, if you want to call it that, whatever my style might be, I prefer more vibrancy. I colored these the same way. I pretty much color all of my pages the same way, and I do have a tendency to really prefer that rich, bright color. But you can see even with the wood, you can see I have a red here in this wood, or a warmer tone to this wood. This is not a grayed brown. There is definitely some orangey highlights in it, and yet it's nowhere near this. And yet I did many layers on this. I could go in with a blender pencil. I could, probably like the Polisher by Caran d'Ache, or Brightener, I think they call it, would probably help this page a lot. But the point of doing this page in those pencils was I wanted to see what those pencils did. But this is not me hating on the pencils. So sorry to go on that little tangent. Overall, I like how this page turned out. So next up is Rita Berman's Under the Microscope, the Underwater Edition. I'm not sure how it all translates. I've done one in this, and I used the black edition pencils that we were just talking about because I wanted to see if paper quality was playing any role in their inability, or my inability, I will say, to get the layers of color that I was looking. And I will say they performed much better on this paper, and I was able to achieve bright, vibrant colors. That said, I do feel like I had to work a little harder than I have experienced in other Rita Berman books using polychromos and Prismacolors. But I feel like I definitely got a good result. Now, I like Prismacolor. I am a Prismacolor girl, and I do feel like pencils are a very subjective thing. What one person loves, another person hates. So take what I say with that in mind. I am not saying don't buy black edition pencils, because you can see you can get very good results. There will be a color along on the channel for this page. Should be coming out this next week. I've already got it edited. I just need to do the voiceover because I personally can't. I find it difficult to film 4 or 5 hours worth of coloring while trying to chat. Because then when I go to edit, what I want to edit in my coloring cuts out something that I said, and it makes it all awkward and weird, or vice versa. And so I just find it easier to do, a voiceover at the end. So if any of this appeals to you at all, please consider checking out my channel and consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the group, and please feel free to pop in comments, even if it's just a hello. I really love hearing from you guys. It keeps me going. So until the next one, happy coloring!